Hey YouTube, Joyboy here. So today I want to talk about Charlotte Pudding. And so guys, I find Charlotte Pudding to be incredibly interesting. Beyond the plot twists, beyond just simply put her role in the future of the story, I'm really left wondering how exactly we can explain exactly what happened in the last chapter. And so this might seem like a dumb question to some people on the surface. It seems spelled out to us, right? You know, Pudding was self-conscious of her eye. Essentially, she was bullied because of it, and it transformed her into the character that we were led to believe was her true personality. But many people have already stated their opinions about this, and I want to ask you, is this really enough for you? Do you really feel moved in any way about Pudding's reveal? Let me ask you, the story that Eiichiro Oda has created in regards to Pudding, does it fulfill you? I ask this because initially for me and many others it appears it doesn't. In the last chapter of One Piece, chapter 862, the reveal that Oda gave to us was amazing, and I think it caught a lot of people off guard. However, he did so with a reveal in a set of circumstances that a lot of people just don't buy. Let's start with what exactly Pudding did in this last chapter. Pudding apparently was dead set on killing the Straw Hats, killing Sanji. And miraculously, all Sanji needed to do was look upon that third eye and say how beautiful he thought that it was to change what is seemingly a very ingrained personality completely. Let's throw out all those years of hardship, all those years of people looking at her like she was some kind of monster, and to have this one random character say one thing that you don't even know is entirely true, and now it's all better? Now, I'm not saying that this is entirely implausible, but I have to say it feels like a bit of a stretch to look at it from this particular perspective. Shouldn't Oda have done more to sort of cement the believability of this particular twist? And so I'm not going to go in depth about this, but because of this and many other things, many people are starting to question the integrity of the Whole Cake Island story. Many straight up just do not believe that Whole Cake Island is well written, in comparison with the standard that we have come to expect from Eiichiro Oda. But I'm going to be honest with you guys, I'm a One Piece fanboy, I'm a believer, I'm an optimist. When I see things that I don't necessarily agree with or think make sense, rather than complain about them, I like to think about how they could make sense. And if I'm honest with you, for the purposes of this video, this particular thing that I've been discussing does not fulfill me. At least, not yet. So I'm going to be spending the rest of the time in this video trying to reason out plausible scenarios based on clues within the story to explain Pudding's behavior. And to start off with, I have to say, and a lot of people, it seems like, are forgetting this, there are chapters left in Whole Cake Island. Oda therefore has time to give us more information, more perspective about what exactly is going on. What I want to start off with is how exactly we can interpret Pudding's reaction to Sanji in the latest chapter. Why was she so quickly brought to tears? And I think my particular take on this actually has a lot of ground to stand on, but we must first start off with the clues from beforehand, which may give us an indication of Pudding's true nature. It's very hard to distinguish truth and lies so far based on what Pudding has given us, because she is an incredible actor who has hidden her emotions very, very effectively up until this point. But one thing always struck me as odd, and one of the biggest reasons why I believed she would experience a shift in how she was going to be portrayed in the story, was always the balcony scene. Let me break down what we got here. So, Pudding was in the room with her caretaker or servant or whatever you want to call her, and her servant told her specifically that the Straw Hats possessed Lola's Vivre card. And this set in motion a very interesting sequence of events. Essentially, Pudding walked out onto the balcony into the rain and began thinking about her long-lost sister, Lola, as well as the overbearing personality of Big Mom and the control Big Mom had over her life. And she thought about Lola's decision to abandon this, to seek her own life, her own dream, her own goals out on the sea, regardless of the consequences. And guys, to put it as simply as possible, this entire scenario invokes an image of doubt and worry. Guys, I think more than anything else, this particular scenario adds to the general thought that Pudding actually did and does care a lot about Lola. And so it's hard to tell what's true or not, but back at the beginning of the Whole Cake Island arc, Pudding did say that Lola was her favorite sister, and honestly, I believe that this is true. I would interpret this scenario as Pudding having heard that the Straw Hats had Lola's Viva card, and wondered to herself whether or not they killed her. And then proceed to lose herself with thoughts of Lola having left, basically denied Big Mom control over her life, and then continued to think about how much control Big Mom has over her own life. But how exactly are we going to tie this in and have it make sense with what we were given in the last chapter? Let's move on to the next piece. As I said in the past, and although this theory may not seem right to you guys at this moment, I do think that it can make sense. I found it very curious what Pudding chose to do after this particular scenario, which I've just now argued was about Lola. Pudding chose to go meet with Luffy and Nami. And this was seemingly not done with permission or orders from Big Mom. It was also interesting how Pudding was keeping what she was doing secret from Charlotte Opera. There are many ways to potentially argue it, but we'll go with Pudding having chosen to do this on her own. And this makes the events of this particular scene all the more interesting, and I believe that this scene must, by the end of Whole Cake Island, make some sense to us. I believe Eiichiro Oda wouldn't have written it in if it wasn't important. And so in the scene, two important things occurred. First of all, Pudding, for some unknown reason, revealed her third eye and Big Mom's intentions for both Sanji and the Straw Hats. And then, secondly, she left, crying. Why did this happen? Many people initially assumed that Pudding was just rubbing it in, that she was just that evil that she had to gloat before she killed her prey. But still, even in the past, this was again another argument used to justify Pudding being good in the future. Why would she cry afterwards? Why would that make sense? Was she just showing off her acting skills? A lot of us left unfulfilled from that particular scene, similar to how we've been unfulfilled recently. But guys, let's go back to this sequence of events. Pudding hears about Lola, the Straw Hats possessing Lola's Viva card. She seems to, perhaps, be thinking about Lola. She decides, on her own free will, to go visit the Straw Hats. Guys, I wonder if she wanted to confirm what exactly the Straw Hats, how exactly these Straw Hats had obtained Lola's Viva card. And maybe she found what she was looking for. Maybe she learned the truth. That they had saved Lola, that Lola was their friend, that Nami was her sworn sister. And that's why Pudding left, crying. What exactly are the powers of the third eye? We don't really know, but a lot of this speculation centers around the third eye being able to see what others cannot, perhaps even being able to observe the truth. Maybe even so far as to be able to read minds. Maybe the reason Pudding revealed her third eye to the Straw Hats was not to gloat, but actually because she needed to so that she could look into their eyes with her third eye and find out the truth. Now, it's very true that Pudding has stated that she hasn't unlocked the powers of the third eye yet. But I think a lot of people have speculated that it's possible that maybe she has and hasn't told Big Mom yet. Or maybe her unlocking of the powers aren't complete. Maybe she only has partial use of it. But if this is indeed what the third eye is capable of doing, which honestly is very realistic considering the lore of the third eye in general, I wonder if during that time, Pudding learned the Straw Hat's true relationship to Lola. She left crying because she realized that the person that Lola loved, that her favorite sister's friends, she was going to be the one to destroy. And so some might argue, well, why didn't Pudding do something about it? Well, I think it's very clear that Pudding, being a daughter of Big Mom, is extremely loyal to Big Mom and is also probably fearful of the consequences of going against her. But I also made a theory sometime in the past which when I think about it along these lines, may still have some validity that perhaps Pudding actually intentionally revealed the plans of Big Mom and her third eye to Sanji. Essentially, she let Sanji observe her and Revujo. And along these same lines, you could use this as an argument for why Pudding revealed Big Mom's plans to Luffy and Nami as well. I do find it incredibly interesting that the Straw Hats learned about Big Mom's intentions during the tea party from Pudding separately. Now, I can't say that I'm completely on board with this just yet, we would need more, but given this, it's very possible that Pudding hoped that Sanji would learn this information and run away. Or maybe attempt, however it may be possible, to rescue his friends and then leave, and avoid the blood shower of the tea party. Even if it was incredibly unlikely to succeed, at least they had some hope. But if this was indeed Pudding's plans, obviously as we stand right now, it amounted to nothing. But I think thinking of this from this particular theory's perspective adds so much more weight to the scene from chapter 862, where Sanji essentially said to Pudding that her third eye was beautiful, and she broke down crying. This could be a twofold predicament for Pudding. On one hand, you must wonder to yourself, certainly Sanji said the third eye was beautiful, but how would Pudding know that he was being serious? Well, it's possible because after revealing her third eye, she understood that Sanji was indeed telling her the truth. That although she has been considered a monster by most everyone on Whole Cake Island when she had revealed her third eye, Sanji did not view her in that way. He actually thought that she was beautiful. And this would be in addition to them having saved Lola, her being aware that they saved Lola, that Lola was their friend, and she had already been having doubts in the first place about going through with killing Sanji. So basically it was the final straw to which Pudding could no longer fight back. So in short, I think this particular theory adds the gravitas that many people felt were lacking from Pudding's reveal in the last chapter. It would make it more impactful. It would make it make sense. And in all honesty, guys, I hope that Oda chooses to do this or something else within the story in order to fully submit Pudding's transformation. One thing that I will say though is the balcony scene in particular is still unexplained, and things that are unexplained that Oda and his editors decided to put within the story that felt like was a necessary piece of information to share with us, that I feel like it must make sense by the end of Whole Cake Island, which means that we may get more in order to tie this back into the story. And so even if my speculation isn't entirely right, if we do pursue the relationship between Pudding and Lola, it may be possible that Pudding learned through other means that these Straw Hats were claiming to have been friends with Lola and to have not killed them. And so with that being the case, then you could still use this as additional sort of evidence towards Pudding's change of heart in the last chapter, which would again, in different ways, make it more believable. People are really looking hard for that setup, for this change of heart. They're looking for reasons to believe in it, and I think the strongest reason that we have right now is that she seems to in some way have history with and perhaps even care about Lola. The Straw Hats were friends with Lola, they saved Lola. This is our best bet. But anyway, guys, that's all I really want to talk about today. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you agree or disagree and why. Just share your thoughts. Like the video if you like the video. Dislike the video if you dislike the video. Subscribe if you want to be notified for my future content. And as always, guys, have a wonderful day.